Hello and welcome back to the channel. This is part 2 of our July build where we are building an i7 7700K PC designed for music production and gaming. In part 1 there's a link in the description to that. I went over the parts list to talk about why I chose the parts, which parts was easy to choose, some other ones I had a little bit of to and fro and which ones I was going to choose. This is part 2. We're going to be going over the build today. I'm going to switch over to a quick time lapse of the build. There's a few things that were missed out, namely being the graphics card. I had to change it at the last minute due to a lack of stock in the UK of the card that I chose originally, but also because I thought I had a little bit of extra cash. I've upgraded it to GTX 1080, which was a wise choice. It looks great in the machine, as you can see. So yeah, we're going to fade off now to a quick time lapse, and then I'll talk about a few other issues that I had and problems I had to get over, and then we'll load up Ableton. I'll show you a quick track with some sounds and stuff, showing you how well it runs as a music production PC. The gaming side of it we've got covered anyway, we shouldn't really need to worry about that, but yeah. Okay, let's switch over to the quick time lapse. Okay, there you have it. Pretty straightforward build. It looks like I spent a lot of time doing the cable management. I ended up unclipping a lot of that and redoing it again at a later date because I had to change the graphics card around, so we might as well talk about that first. The graphics card I chose originally was going to be the GTX 1070. It was the OC Dual Edition from Asus. It's the white one, mainly because the white was going to match the build good. I ordered that from a couple of places. They didn't state it was out of order until I ordered it, and there was going to be an undisclosed amount of time until it came in. I still haven't found a website in the UK where they are back in stock at the minute yet. Wasn't willing to wait that long. I wanted to get the build finished by the end of July, which I've just done. It's the 1st of August, so I'm not too worried about that. Yeah, GTX 1080 was a better option for me. I actually got this one off eBay. I got it from a really good price. It was a bloke. He put it on there straight away for a buy now 450. I asked him if he'd go a little bit lower. I ended up getting it for 420. I knew from experience this was going to be a good price. I've already watched a few auctions for these GTX 1080s from Asus. They normally sell for around about 430 or 440 British pounds. I did watch one the day before that sold for 450, so 420 was a good price. It came within 2 days. It came in an anti-static bag. It came in the box for his new card that he'd upgrade for, so I know obviously he's the type of bloke that looks after his cards and stuff. But yeah, it was spotless, immaculate. I haven't noticed any dropouts or any problem with it whatsoever. It's been perfect. So GTX 1080, it's not the TI or OC edition or anything like that. It's it's the 8 gig card though, so it's running everything perfect what I want it to do. The other thing I would state about the build was the push-pull configuration that we had going on. If I just quickly make sure we're on this, change the scene to. So yeah, this is a photo here of the radiator on the front of the NZXT S340 Elite. So you can see I've got the 2 fans that come with the NZXT, which are here. I've then got the radiator. I've then got the 2 fans on the inside pulling the air through the radiator, whereas the 2 on the outside are pushing it. So it gives you the push and pull effect. Probably didn't need this, probably a bit of an overkill. The main reason I did this is because I wanted the LED lights on the inside of the radiator to help give the case a bit more flare and a bit more colour, which it does perfectly. Flick back again, you can see these are the 2 fans I'm on about. They're the white LEDs, they're the Corsair SP140s, they're static pressure. They're both 140s that fit on the radiator, so that's the main reason I wanted to push-pull. Also, it gives me extra cooling if I did want to do any overclocking for gaming as such later on down the line. I've got no plans to do that yet, but if I do, the option's there. This PC sits idle at around 38 degrees. I tested it through Intel Burn Test and IDA 64. I've done some of the stress testing on some different things, and I haven't got above 73 degrees C. Fan curve I've got not on silent, quite an I set my own fan curve. I normally have it running pretty quiet up to about 45, sometimes 50 degrees with it, because I know that it's not going to affect anything, and then quite a steep curve going up to around about 70 where it'll be on full. So yeah, this push-pull configuration, this radiator is easily enough cooling for my CPU, which is the i7-7700K. Flip back to scene 2 again. I'll talk to you about how why you didn't see me do this push-pull in the original build. So the reason you didn't see me doing this in the original build is you can see this gap here where the cables from the 24-pin power supply going through. They normally have this slots sort of there in effect, and this little recess that sticks out stopped them fans going on. So the reason what I did is I removed that. It was only 4 screws that left this big gaping hole at the back here, which gave me enough room to put the new radiators on. I had to tidy the cables out of the way because this channel is designed to have the cables run behind it. It's got little clips and stuff that keep everything in place. So I had to route the cables a little bit more specifically so that you couldn't see all the black cables coming out from that space that I'd made to put the 2 fans in. So it was a minor adjustment. I didn't think of doing it until the build was done, but it was done pretty straightforward. We'll quick to some of the other pictures quickly. This is just a picture of the graphics card. You can see the cable routing at the bottom in the S340 Elite is good for all these bottom connectors, your HD audio. The HDMI 3.0 connector for the top of the case. These cables were an afterthought as well. You didn't see me do this in the build. Got these from a company called Shack Mods. It's a UK based company. They're not the best, if I'm honest. They're really quite thin and quite tough, the cable extent, the sleeves that they've put on. They did come with some combs that were good enough for me to separate them and make them look pretty though. So yeah, what's the other picture? Oh yeah, the NZXT Kraken X62. I've used this cooler before. I really do like it because of the way it looks. Obviously it looks awesome. It does a really good job of cooling. This is just showing you the cables that come out the top here. I don't know if you can see that clearly, but there's a micro USB there that comes out, and that goes to the fan hub, I believe. This is like a strange sort of SATA connector that splits, that goes to a SATA power supply, SATA power supply, and then you've got one fan connector that comes off and then comes back in. It's difficult for you to route these and hide them because they need to go out and come straight back in, so it doesn't look very pretty. But because that part of the motherboard is quite dark and it's black cables, it didn't really bother me that much. It's just one little thing that niggles me about this NZXT Kraken. It's quite complicated to set it all up. I've had issues with the cam software that comes with it as well. The main one being you use the cam software to set up what colours you want on the dial that spins round, and also you can control fan curves and stuff like that. The trouble I was having, that it was the fan controls that were pre-mapped inside the cam software were conflicting with my Q fan control inside the Asus BIOS, which I prefer to use. Neither of them were working when I had the cam software installed. The fans weren't responding to any of the curves that I drew in cam or in the Asus BIOS. So what I did is I set the colour up for the NZXT logo and the pattern that I wanted inside cam. I then installed it so I could use the fan Q control with inside the Asus UEFI BIOS, whichever one it is. I never remember which one it is. So again, it's a minor workaround that I had to get this to work. Didn't cause me too much problems when I realised what it was conflicting. I ended up swapping the case fans out back to the original ones because I thought it might have been a fault with the Corsair fans, but it wasn't. It was just the cam software and the BIOS trying to both set curves at the same time to each other. So yeah, just be aware if you do use an Asus motherboard and you're used to controlling the fans with the Q control inside the BIOS like I am, it may cause you problems when it comes to using that cam software. Maybe something that was specific to me, this motherboard, I do not know. I've never had that issue before. Let me know if you've had any other issues like that yourself. Leave comments in the bottom. So yeah, where are we at now? We might as well talk about the little set I've got going on in Ableton. I'm just going to switch over to this scene. Sorry that my XSplit keeps popping up. I haven't set the dual monitor up on this yet, so I'm just checking that everything's working and you're seeing it how I want you to see it. So yeah, this is a little set I've got going on in Ableton. It's just a basic copy of Sweet Harmony I've been trying to work out. I'll just play it for you. So yeah, nothing crazy going on there, you think. It's a basic drum groove. I've got 3 different breaks and bongos. I've got some bass which is not played. I've got this trance-gated pad which I made with the Virus TI. I've got this massive group of stuff which we'll talk about in a minute. I've got 2 pianos. One is a grand piano from within Ableton. One is Contact the Giant. The reason I load this is because it has a massive library. I wanted to show you that 32 gigs of RAM are quite capable of running quite a heavy intensive set. So yeah, this has quite a big lot of cache, if you like, or the Giant is going to use up a lot of memory. The drum bus. The drums are all samples running with inside Falcon, which again stores all the samples inside the set, so it's quite intensive. The virus has been bounced down. This pad is what I wanted to show you. This is a pad built inside Serum. It's got 16 voices of unison on both, quite a bit of movement, quite a lot of detune. If anybody's used Serum with large amounts of detune like this, you know it can be quite CPU or intensive, or it can creep up the top here in this percentage thing. I'm not sure what this does, whether it's maxing out your RAM or your CPU, clock speed or whatever it is. Either way, when you use a lot of detune on in Serum, this is version 1.113b. If you're running a newer one, it might change, but if you use a lot of voices unison, a lot of detune, 2 or 3 of these instances with my old PC of this sound would have creaked this. I would have been hearing audio pop outs. Yeah, and nasties that you're not going to want to hear. I used to have to bounce the audio down, or at least freeze the track to sort of free up the memory and give me a bit more space while I was working on tracks. This is a pad of mine. So yeah, this is the pad. Quite a wide pad. It's being sidechained a lot. Why I've been talking about this is because, as I said, normally 2 or 3 instances of this and Ableton will start to creak on my old PC, which was an i7 4770K. It had 32 gigabytes of RAM, but it was no slouch. So I just thought I'd let you know that the extra clock speed and the extra power that the 7th gen Intel CPUs have, i.e. the 7700K, which I'm running in this PC, this enables me to create this monster group here, which has got that pad with all that detuning on, and I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 extra instances of it, all playing. You see the audio coming through all of them. We're barely pushing 80% on that scale up there. Some sets that I had before, some completed tracks that I had, would be pushing 80% at the end of a track. So this is a vast improvement for me on my last one. You're never going to have 15 pads in a track all that wide. I mean, if I delete that group altogether, show you the set without it. Remember, we were pushing 80. It's gone back to 26%. I mean, this has got all the elements you would need for an EDM track in this style that I'm making now. It's got all the drums, all the pads, a couple of gated pads, 2 pianos. So this isn't a track I'll be finishing, if anybody wonders. It's just one that I just wanted to see if I could recreate the sweet harmony sort of sound. Sorry, I digressed there. Anyway, yes, I can recreate the sweet harmony. I worked out all the chords myself and just messed around. But yeah, so we've definitely proved that this machine is good for music production. I will do a test later on to work out whether that audio pops and creaking is down to memory. I'll probably remove one of the 16 gig sticks that I've got, just to test in case all them instances of Serum is working off the RAM and not the memory, not the CPU. If that's the case, I've got no worries anyway. I've got 2 more slots. I'll just buy 2 more 16 gig sticks and I'll have a 64 gig music production PC that can play all the latest titles at the spec that I want to be playing them at, which is 1080. My monitor is only 1080p. So it's 1920 by 1080 is what I play games at. I've just really got into PC gaming. I've bought Doom. It's running at, everything's on ultra and it's flying for 130 frames a second with this CPU. I haven't overclocked it. It's just got the standard boost turned on inside the Asus BIOS, which boosts it up to 4.5 gigahertz. So that'll sit at 60 degrees when I'm gaming. I didn't really want to do any gaming benchmarks. It's not something that I'm into personally yet. Let me know if you're interested. Anyway, I'm sure you're well aware this CPU was a complete success. The only thing I've got a slight niggling about is the noise. Because I've got so many fans in there, I've got 6 fans in the case, it is quite noisy. I mean, I do, when I'm making my music, I do generally use the monitors. It doesn't, you can't hear it over the sound of the monitors. I'm not one of these people that have it quite low. I like to hear what I'm doing. And when I do my mixing, my mix down, I generally do use these headphones. These are Sennheiser HD380 Pros. So the noise is not a massive issue for me. If it does bother me, honestly, I'm not bothered about just swapping the case out. I will quite happily get a Be Quiet case or one of the Cooler Master ones that are renowned for being quiet and just swap it all over. It doesn't bother me about doing stuff like that. As long as all the hardware is the same, it's not too much hassle. It's an hour and a half, 2 hours max, maybe swapping it out. But for now, yeah, this is working perfect for me. No issues whatsoever. Didn't have any troubles installing the Windows 10 or anything like that. No fan speed errors, nothing like that. It all went perfect. So my choice of parts I'm really, really happy with. Yeah, anyway, hope you enjoy it. My next build is going to be a remake of my other workstation that I had. I'm going to be building that in a darker case, something a bit more aggressive looking. That is an i7 6900K 8-core 16-thread beast. It's running on the X99 platform. That's going to be August, maybe September build. The reason I'm going to put it in another case is because I originally bought the NZXT Phantom 240. It's a bit outdated. It doesn't look good in there. It's got no shroud for the power supply. So yeah, that'll be the next build. Please like and subscribe if you enjoyed this. Give it a thumbs up if you've enjoyed it. Give it a thumbs down if you think there's anything I can improve. I know the lighting's a bit crap in here. It is late at night here when I've filmed it. I've bought an LED lamp which is shining my face, but it's casting some shadows. I need some extra lighting for the back. But yeah, as I say, I'm new to this more intimate videos. Normally I just do my sound design where the screen takes control and I'm a little box in the corner like you just see in the other scene. But yeah, that's enough for now. Thanks for watching. Stay tuned for the next one. Cheers.